Good new 30-minute game going. See what we get today. The black pieces against 184. We get the caro-kann. Modern classic. I don't know what H3 is about. I'm not super worried about it. I'm just going to continue development normally. We've got sort of a twist on the exchange variation. Expecting to see D4. I think would be a good move for white. Um, Normally I like to develop the light square bishop out to G4. In this case, to pin the knight to the queen. But for now, we'll develop a little bit more modestly to F5. E-file partially open, already an appealing line of attack. If we can get castled really quick, I think we might be able to do something. Obviously, they have this bishop to B5 check, which would enable castling for them, and then prevent us from being able to take advantage of that. But that's all right. That's all right. See our opponents cooking up something good. Ooh, A3. So I don't know what it is they're cooking up exactly, but I feel pretty good about our chances here. A3, B4, curbing the development of our dark square bishop. I usually like bishop to D6 anyways when we're playing the exchange. Obviously in the advance with the pawn on E5, that's not an option, but we can play that here, get our bishop out to E7, and get castled. But if our opponent is just going to keep shuffling pawns around, there we go. So they have an attack. We'll play our knight out to defend. This knight is a critical piece of defensive infrastructure in the caro-kann. They trade. It's fine by me. Often we'll trade light square bishops anyways in the caro-kann. Um, let's see. Ooh, okay, so that's dangerous. This is a good move from our opponent. So bishop out to b2, threatening our pawn on g7. What can we do about this? We could play f6. Not unusual in the caro-kann. Usually you end up playing either f6 or c5 as a pawn break. c5 looks a little bit less appealing because of this pawn on b4 right now. So we could play f6 with an eye to playing, like, pushing the rest of our pawns forward onto dark squares. We could get our knight out, which is sort of, I guess, doesn't run into the same issue. Actually, that's really appealing, because we could play our knight out to f6, which is sort of a weird square for the caro. Often you'll go, like, knight to e7, and then knight to f5, which is a great outpost for the knight. If we play knight to g6, then we can play, and then if they take, we can play queen takes f6, threatening all sorts of nastiness on their back rank. So let's give that a go. Let's see if they want to keep playing aggressively, keep making crazy trades. They do. All right. So we're targeting their rook. I think this doesn't look very good for white, to be honest. We've got the bishop pair, which will be great in an endgame where things open up a little bit. I think they can play knight out to c3 to sort of protect their rook. Yeah, but if they let us back in there, that's no good. We get that. Okay. Pawn to d4. There we go. Sort of completing that part of the development. Let's go ahead and get castled. And then, I don't know, they'll probably do something like knight out here. If they do play their knight out, I think we should take. Yeah, knight comes out. We take, they take. We take back with the queen, check. And things just look really bad for our opponent. We, on the other hand, we've got our king to safety. things are looking really good. I like this position. I like this a lot. Other things coming to mind: Rook F to E8, X-raying their king. This file is open. I think this is super juicy for attacking. And if they're not going to take the time to get castled, which doesn't seem like they're going to, I think we should take advantage of that. We could Here we could threaten their light squared bishop. They do have knight takes, pawn takes. You should don't like that very much. Um, excuse me. Let's get our rook out to e8, and then maybe we just start pushing pawns. Maybe we can push this e pawn. They're not making any threats on our position. I don't see anything that's causing me, grave concern. Okay, now they've castled. Well done to our opponent. See if we push this. We've got two defenders, and then we have two defenders. So I think that would work out for us. It's not as potent as it was before. Let's see. We have the option for a bishop sacrifice here. If they take back, then we have queen to g7 check, which I don't think looks super great, honestly, because their king moves away, and then we don't have a way to get in there, really. I guess we could do like... No, yeah, because their queen is on g6. No, so I don't think that would work. We could double our rooks in the e-file and just sort of play a little bit of a waiting game, waiting for our opponent to make a move that allows us to dismantle their position. I like that idea. Let's double up the rooks, being cautious of forks, but they're so far away from us that I don't see anything that's going to happen in short order. Queen takes, rook on a1 is no longer appealing because they've developed their pieces off of that back rank. Okay, pawn comes out to c4. If we take here, then their knight comes in, threatening our bishop. That's not very good. We could play our pawn out to here, threatening their rook. Now that they've removed sort of this piece of their defense, and that forks their rook and their pawn. I like that. I like that. Let's go for that. This is a piece that we want to trade away anyways, and I don't see any way they can really do a fork or cause any major damage to our position. I'm expecting to see something like rook out, and then we can take this pawn for free. So rook out, bishop takes on c4, knight takes on c4, pawn takes on c4. Oh, that exposes our dark squared bishop to capture by their queen. So maybe we hold off on this. Maybe we hold off on this. Let's see. Oh, no, that's not right, because their pawn on e4 will remain there. So we take here, take with... Let's run that back again. Bishop takes on c4, knight takes on c4, pawn takes on c4. Their pawn on d4 remains in place, blocking their queen. Okay, cool. So in this way, we pick up a pawn. They can push their d4 pawn after this exchange if they want to, and we'll just take it back. And then we have a nice defensive structure. We have our dark squared bishop sort of terrorizing these open diagonals. This diagonal's not so open, is it? Maybe we can do something about that. Okay, so they're gonna give us the pawn. That's cool. I guess now knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and then we've it's an even exchange. Could drop our bishop back. I don't know how much work I want to do to defend this bishop. Are there any other moves that we could play to sort of enhance our position? Let's see. Pawn up to e5, threatening here. This pawn goes up. They have b takes c5, and they get a little pawn chain, which I don't really like. We could play pawn to a5. It's not amazing. I don't know what I want to do here. We don't have an easy way to reinforce this bishop either. Hmm. Maybe we just sort of drop it back, reroute our bishop back to the king's side of the board. If we move it out of the way, their queen takes our pawn on c7. Jeez. Okay, so I think we might just be even after this, and I think I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. Maybe we finish our plan of doubling our rooks on the e file. What was? Yeah, this is fine. So now they'll probably take here. We'll take back. They'll take back. And then this pawn is still hanging, isn't it? That's less than ideal. If they take that, then our bishop is hanging. Hmm. Hmm. What can we do about that? I have an idea. What if we push... Oh, that doesn't work. My idea was if we push our pawn forward, we can sort of then rocket our bishop over to cause check once they've taken our pawn on c6. They have to react to the check by taking our bishop, and then we can pick up their queen for free. That doesn't work because our pawn will have moved that e5 square, preventing the bishop from delivering check. But I still like the idea of pushing to e5, just in case something exciting happens. That also adds our queen as a defender to our bishop in case they do take this. This is a tense position, though. With their knight in the way, I don't think we have quite enough firepower on the e-file to deliver checkmate or any serious like mating threats. Here we go. So if they take here, we can take their pawn. They might take in turn, and we have to be very cautious of back rank threats. Ooh, it's getting dangerous. Maybe instead of taking and creating the fully open file, here we go. Okay, so maybe it's happening. So I think the risk of taking here is that it opens up this file for trades. And so if we like take, they take our rook. I guess if we took with the rook, they have back rank checkmate and it's game over. But if we take here, they take with the rook, we take back with the queen, then we're in a better position. But that doesn't allow us to do our cool idea of sacrificing our bishop to win the queen. So I think if we just push forward, that opens up that possibility. Creates a threat against their knight. Uh, yeah, I like this. They can take here, and our idea remains the same, and I think we still win the queen. So this is a neat tactic. This is very exciting. I'm excited to see if it works out. So they need to move their queen out of the way at this point because they're in grave danger of being tacticked into losing their queen. Um, Knight comes down to e5, so this isn't what I was expecting. It does block our idea from happening, which is disappointing. We don't have another way to deliver check. Well, I guess we have, like, queen to f. Queen takes f2 check, but that blunders the queen, so that's no good. If we take here, they have to take back, and then we can take with our knight. So let's run that through again. So if we capture their knight, they can't capture back with their pawn because then we get their queen. So bishop takes, their queen takes our queen. Our bishop takes their queen, and then they get our pawn. So they're another pawn up. Ugh. Don't like that very much. But then I guess they can't take our pawn because their rook wouldn't be defended. And maybe we can keep pushing or something. Well, that's a bummer. Yeah, I think maybe that's the move. I don't see any other, like, cool tactics that we could do. So let's... They have to take here. We take back. And I guess we can pick up this pawn. They can't move it. And they need to move their rook out of the way. Oh! Bad move from our opponent, I think. So we'll pick up that rook. And I suspect the game will dissolve pretty shortly from here. We're also somehow up a piece. I don't know exactly when that happened. Um, I must have not been paying attention during an exchange, but I'm glad that it did happen. I'll have to pick that up in the review. So, pawn on d5, huge threat right now. We have to deal with that. So I think moving one of our rooks out, I think just like this, the one that's most likely to get hit. Like if we had left our rook in place on e, okay, yeah, that's fine. If we had left our rook in place on e7, their pawn coming down to d6 would have been a threat. If there was something else going on, we wouldn't be able to react to it. We could just line up our rooks here and do another rook trade. I like that idea. First thing I'm going to do is create this escape square, just in case. I don't want to get back rank mated. I know we're in the lead. Things are looking really good for us. I don't want to mess this up. I've blundered back rank mate one too many times, and with the lead this commanding, I think we could just be cautious. I don't know what they're planning to do here. Maybe we just reinforce this pawn, and then we can double our rooks on the d file, capture this pawn, make threats against their king. This should be a very doable win. We just have to trade the rooks, hoover up the remainder of their pieces. They are 2, 3, 4, 5. They have one more pawn than we do, and I don't want that advantage to persist for much longer. So I want to play this carefully, thoughtfully. We have 17 and a half minutes to turn this into a win. I think that's plenty of time. I can afford to take my time, figure out what I need to do. Honestly, a resignation might be coming soon. There's just so much time on the clock. The material advantage is substantial. Feel pretty good about this. Feeling pretty good about this. Okay. Play out. Maybe planning to come to the second rank. I think that would be fine. We just sort of take turns taking each other's pawns. Yeah, just take these up. I like leaving this rook on the back rank, preventing their rook from coming down to the back rank and doing anything at all with tempo. Don't want to deal with that. Um, hmm. We move a pawn up, trade these pawns, or if they push, then we get a very quick, very effective sort of ladder checkmate. Honestly, if they take here, we could probably do something like that. So rook takes, blocking off the third rank. We bring our rook up with check, and then bring our other rook up. Yeah, okay. So I think we got checkmate ideas pretty soon here. We've got this rook sort of walling off the third rank. There we go. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So we take. They will probably try to threaten. We'll move all the way back here. No, they create an escape hatch for their king. Very strong move. I like that. Let's, what can we do about this? We can threaten their rook. We really offer a rook trade. And if they don't take it, they lose another pawn. Defended by this nice pawn in f5. It's great. Pawn to h4 was a good move, I think. Creating an escape hatch for their king. We'll just proceed carefully, thoughtfully. We have 16 and a half minutes at this point. All right, so they move their rook out of the way. We'll take their pawn. They can take our pawn back. Okay. Are there any checkmate threats? I don't think so. I don't think so. They need more than just a rook to deliver checkmate. We can't be back rank mated because we have this escape square. They don't have any light squared bishops or queens or anything staring us down. They might come down to here for some reason. But let's see. We move up here with check. They need to move into their escape hatch. If they don't, okay, yeah. They're not willing to exchange rooks, which I wouldn't be in this position. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I think the move here is just create a queen and then checkmate them that way. So we'll push this pawn up the board. Alternatively, if they push this pawn forward, well, no, they still have a little hidey hole for their king, which is disappointing. They might be trying to get down to like here, in which case this would be checkmate. You can deliver checkmate with just a king and a rook. Very dangerous idea. I do want to be cautious of that. So how can we mitigate that? I think moving our rook over to f8 would prevent any ideas of their king coming through this way. So this pawn is blocking this pawn is blocking this, and we've got this rook blocking these squares. So then they would need to come all the way around, move the rook out of the way. It's a lot of work now for them to deliver that sort of checkmate. Okay. Put back, and then the move here is you get your rook on the back rank, protecting the promotion square, protecting the whole promotion rank. Push back, and then if we can move our rook out of the way with check, just like that, we gain a tempo and we can promote uninterrupted. So it's check. They have to move out of the way. There we go. Resignation. All right. Take a look at the review. I'm doing a few of these in the same day, and I don't have the all-day, everyday review thing, so we'll just follow along with Stockfish. Let me switch over to the analysis board. There we go. It looks pretty good. Classic caro-kann. Already out of the gate, sort of a slight advantage for black. Because our opponent is, I don't want to say wasting their time, because this does curb our development a little bit, but I think there are more active, more aggressive opening moves that you can do against the caro-kann. Nothing too wild here. This is a very classic procedure. Something comes out to deliver check on b5. Knight gets up in the way. It's a nice defensive resource you have as a caro-kann player. What are the other options here? So Engine is saying f6 is a very strong move here. Knight to f6 is a little bit less strong, and then king to f8. I guess adding a defender to the g7 pawn, it's saying that's not terrible. I like getting castled. I would much rather do that. Okay, so they make the trade. Getting into more of an advantage for black. Yeah, this is not looking good for white. I wonder, I do wish I had the full review, because this looks like a mistake, and I would like to see the follow-up. Getting into an advantage for white here. I take that piece. Yeah, maybe what was the stronger move, rather than moving my light-squared bishop to sort of maintain an advantage here. g5, pushing kingside pawns, which is baffling to me. Rook e to e8, moving our rook back to the back rank, or bishop to f4, which I like this, threatening their knight here. That would have been a good move, and sort of getting our dark squared bishop out of a defensive posture into a more active attacking mode. Make the trades, as discussed. Getting into being in white's favor a little bit here. I thought my idea was very nice. The engine doesn't seem to think so. E4 is the best move here, leading to about drawing odds. And then your white's advantage sort of falls off a cliff, and black has a very nice game here. Bishop takes e5 is the best move. He takes f6. Is this where... No, this isn't where we lost a piece. Where did we lose a piece? Or where did our opponent lose a piece? Trade. Oh, this is why. Because, yeah, they drop in with their knight. We take their knight, and they can't take back. They have to take the queen. And then we're able to recapture with the piece that's in danger. So that's how we're just up a piece. That knight coming in was the big game deciding blunder from our opponent. Okay, that didn't even register. I was so bummed out about losing my cool queen grabbing maneuver that I didn't register. Yeah, the rest of the game I think is sort of elementary. Oh, how nice is that? I'm not seeing that I missed like mate and one anywhere. I just want to rip through this a little bit, see if there's any cool in-game maneuvers that I missed. Yeah, and I mean, this is, here we go. We're getting mate and 8, mate and 9, mate and 18. Getting this promotion, I think, is pretty deadly. But that's a neat trick, is if you've got your rook guarding the back rank, guarding this promotion square, if you can move the rook out of the way with check, king has to move out of the way, and you gain a valuable tempo to, let's see what this looks like. So if they, up, up, queen, they pretty much have to take here. It would be crazy not to. And even the engine is saying, like, even with rook takes a1, we've got mate and 6 here, mate and 5, mate and 4. Yeah, this is not looking good for our opponent. So yeah, that's a neat trick on a promotion, is you get your rook on that back rank, guarding that promotion square, and if you can get it out of the way with check, then you win a very valuable tempo, and you most likely win the game. If you're promoting to a queen, that's pretty much game over. Cool. So that's all for me for now. See you all next time.